this wasn't just another Hollywood feud, it was a legal ambush. Rachel Zegler thought she could control the narrative, expose Gal Gadot, and spin the Snow White disaster in her favor, until 3 words from Gadot's lawyers shut it all down. Cease and desist. No press tour meltdowns, no Instagram rants, just a cold, calculated strike that left Zegler's team scrambling. Because in Hollywood, the quietest threats are the deadliest. And what happened next? Every planned interview, every tell-all podcast vanished overnight. Just days before, insiders claimed Zegler was gearing up for a full-blown media blitz. She'd lined up appearances on The Drew Barrymore Show, a high-profile podcast, and even an explosive interview titled Rachel's Side of the Story. The goal? Shift the blame for Snow White's failure and paint Gadot as the villain behind the scene. Sources say Zegler was ready to drop bombshells, claims of a toxic set, creative sabotage, and Gadot's alleged resistance to her progressive take on Snow White. But then silence. Gadot didn't clap back on Twitter. She didn't give a shady interview. Instead, she went straight for the kill shot, legal intimidation. Her team reportedly sent 3 separate warnings to Zegler's camp, making it crystal clear. Go public with these accusations, and we'll bury you in lawsuits. And just like that, Zegler's redemption tour collapsed. The Drew Barrymore spot, canceled. The podcast, scrapped. That tell-all interview, erased from the schedule. Even her social media, once buzzing with controversy, went eerily quiet. The message was undeniable. Gadot wasn't playing the PR game. She was playing chess. And in one move, she exposed the real power dynamic. Zegler might have the viral moments, but Gadot had the industry clout. Because here's the brutal truth in Hollywood. You can survive a flop. You can survive bad press. But you can't survive a legal target on your back. And Zegler, she folded faster than Disney's box office dreams. But this legal battle was just the finale. The real war started months earlier, on set, where creative clashes and political landmines turned Snow White into a ticking time bomb. And what exploded next would shock even Disney's most hardened execs. The tension between Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler didn't start with lawsuits or leaked warnings. It started with a single, irreconcilable question. What kind of princess was Snow White supposed to be? From day one, insiders say the 2 actresses were on a collision course. Zegler, the young outspoken newcomer, pushed hard for a bold, political reimagining of the classic character, one that openly mocked the original fairy tale's outdated themes. Meanwhile, Gadot, a global star with years of franchise experience, argued for a modern but respectful take, something that honored Disney's legacy while still feeling fresh. But this wasn't just about creative differences. It was about control. Zegler, emboldened by her West Side Story success, reportedly clashed with directors, writers, and even Disney execs over script changes, demanding Snow White be rewritten as a warrior, a revolutionary, anything but the passive damsel she openly ridiculed in interviews. Gadot, on the other hand, allegedly warned the team, if we alienate the core fans, this will bomb. And then things got personal. Sources claim Zegler's social media activism, particularly her vocal pro-Palestinian stance, created an icy atmosphere with Gadot, a former IDF soldier and proud Israeli. On-set conversations grew tense. Small talk vanished. Even meal breaks became awkward, with the 2 sitting at opposite ends of the catering tent. At one point, a crew member allegedly joked, the only thing they agree on is that they can't stand each other. The breaking point? The Oscars red carpet. Disney forced them to pose together, and the photo said it all. Frozen smiles. Stiff body language. Gadot's hand barely grazing Zegler's back like she was touching a live wire. Fans instantly flooded social media with memes. Most forced duo since Joker and Harley Quinn. But behind the scenes, Disney was panicking. Their perfect princess pairing was a PR time bomb, and the countdown to disaster had already begun. Because while the studio hoped the feud would stay behind closed doors, Zegler had other plans. She was about to take the fight public, and what happened next would leave Disney scrambling to contain a scandal no amount of fairy tale magic could fix. The moment Disney executives saw the first cut of Snow White, they knew they had a problem. But what they didn't realize, the film itself would be the least of their worries. Because while bad reviews and box office bombs can be spun, controlled, or even ignored, a full-blown star war between their 2 leads, that's a crisis no amount of Mickey Mouse magic could fix. It started with the press tour, or more accurately, the train wreck that was supposed to be the press tour. Disney's PR team had meticulously planned every interview, every red carpet, every viral moment to sell the world on Gadot and Zegler as the perfect Disney duo. But from the very first stop, the cracks were impossible to hide. During a Good Morning America appearance, Zegler, leaning hard into her woke Snow White persona, made a joke about finally giving the princess a backbone. The camera immediately cut to Gadot's frozen smile, her eyes screaming, "I'm going to murder you later." Social media erupted. TikTok edits of the moment got 10 million views in 24 hours. And Disney's carefully crafted girl power narrative shattered. Then came Zegler's now infamous Variety interview, where she trashed the original Snow White as creepy and outdated. The backlash was instant. Old tweets resurfaced of her mocking Disney fans. YouTube critics labeled her the most hated actress in Hollywood. And Gadot, she stayed strategically silent, letting Zegler dig her own grave while she quietly distanced herself from the project. Behind the scenes, Disney executives were freaking out. Emergency meetings were called. Publicists screamed at each other. The studio's original plan, a fun, flirty, behind-the-scenes featurette showing the cast laughing between takes, was abruptly shelved when Gadot's team refused to participate. One insider claimed, Gal made it clear she wouldn't fake chemistry with Zegler for a paycheck. But the most damning evidence of Disney's panic? They canceled the commentary track. For those who don't know, Disney always records cast commentary for their big releases. It's free content, easy marketing, and a way to make fans feel closer to the film. But when the studio realized Gadot and Zegler wouldn't even sit in the same recording booth, let alone pretend to like each other, they scrapped it entirely. That's when the whisper started in Hollywood. This isn't just a bad movie, this is a career-ending disaster. And for Rachel Zegler, the worst was yet to come. Because while Gadot could weather the storm, Zegler was about to learn the hard way that in Hollywood, no one roots for the girl who bites the hand that feeds her. Hollywood doesn't forgive. It doesn't forget. And right now, Rachel Zegler is learning that the hard way. Just 6 months ago, she was Disney's golden girl, the fresh-faced Oscar winner handpicked to lead a new generation of princesses. Now, industry insiders are whispering a very different label, box office poison. The shift happened fast. After Snow White bombed and the Gadot feud exploded, Zegler's phone allegedly stopped ringing. Projects she was attached to suddenly went on hold. Meetings with major studios were quietly canceled. Even her own team reportedly started hedging their bets, with one agent allegedly telling colleagues, "We need to rebrand her fast." But why? It wasn't just the movie's failure. It was how she handled the fallout. While Gadot took the high road, staying silent, booking new roles, and letting her lawyers do the talking, Zegler kept doubling down. Leaked texts, allegedly from a Disney exec, describe her as combative and impossible to manage. One particularly damning rumor? She allegedly refused to reshoot scenes, arguing with directors that the script was the problem, not my performance. Then came the final nail in the coffin, the vanishing offers. Casting directors began anonymously telling trades that Zegler was a risk. One bluntly said, "You can't cast someone audiences actively root against." Another revealed that a major YA franchise, once considered hers for the taking, mysteriously went in another direction after Snow White's implosion. Even her social media, once a platform for her progressive takes, backfired. Old tweets resurfaced of her mocking fans, who loved classic Disney. A since-deleted Instagram story showed her laughing at a meme about boomers hating woke Snow White. The message was clear. She wasn't just unlikable, she was alienating the very people who buy movie tickets. Meanwhile, Gadot? She's already filming 2 new blockbusters. The contrast couldn't be starker. While Zegler's team scrambles to repair her image, Gadot's strategy of quiet power is paying off. No interviews trashing Zegler. No messy clapbacks. Just a single, calculated move, letting Hollywood see who handled the crisis like a star and who cracked under pressure. But here's the twist no one saw coming. This isn't just about Zegler's career anymore. It's about Disney's future. Because after this disaster, the studio is facing a brutal question. Did they bet on the wrong princess? The boardroom was silent when the numbers came in. Snow White wasn't just a flop, it was a bloodbath. And as Disney execs stared at the projections, one horrifying truth became clear. They'd created a monster. Not the fairy tale kind. A PR monster. One that was eating their reputation alive. Emergency meetings were called. Lawyers were summoned. And according to insiders, CEO Bob Iger himself demanded answers. How did we not see this coming? The answer? They ignored every red flag. For months, reports had trickled in about the Gadot-Zegler feud. The onset tension, the political landmines, the disastrous press tour. But Disney, convinced their brand was bulletproof, allegedly brushed it all off as creative differences. Then the box office hit. And suddenly, executives were scrambling to contain a disaster no one had planned for. First, they tried damage control. A behind-the-scenes featurette, originally meant to highlight the cast's chemistry, was hastily re-edited to cut all scenes of Gadot and Zegler together. Promotional interviews were cancelled. Even the film's Disney Plus release was delayed, with insiders claiming the studio needed time to sanitize the rollout. But the most shocking move? They shelved the sequel. That's right, Snow White 2, once a guaranteed green light, is now dead. And the reason? According to leaks, Gadot's team made it clear she wouldn't return if Zegler was involved. Disney faced an impossible choice. Option 1, keep Zegler and lose Gadot, along with any hope of salvaging the franchise. Option 2, bet on Gadot and quietly phase out Zegler, but risk backlash for caving to diva demand. They chose option 2, because here's the cold, hard truth in Hollywood. Money talks. And Gadot? She's a proven box office draw. Zegler, after Snow White, is now seen as radioactive. But the fallout doesn't stop there. Disney is now rewriting their entire playbook. No more woke reboots without extensive audience testing. Stricter social media clauses for stars. Yes, this is directly because of Zegler's tweets. Mandatory chemistry checks for co-stars before casting. And the biggest change, they're done forcing girl power narratives. Because as one exhausted exec allegedly muttered in a meeting, the only thing worse than a flop that turns your stars into enemies. But here's what no one's talking about. This isn't just about Snow White. It's about every live-action remake Disney has planned. Because if audiences rejected this one so violently, what does that mean for Moana, Hercules, Tangled? The studio is praying this is a one-time disaster. But the real nightmare? This might just be the beginning. The legal threats silenced Rachel Zegler. The bad press buried Snow White. But one burning question still haunts Hollywood. What was Zegler really about to say before Gadot's lawyers shut her down? Because according to insiders, her canceled media tour wasn't just some vague rant about creative differences. It was a nuclear expose, one that could have permanently altered how the world sees Gal Gadot. Multiple sources claim Zegler had drafted 3 major accusations. Gadot sabotaged my performance. Allegations that Gadot refused to rehearse key scenes with her. Claims the Wonder Woman star deliberately iced her out in group shots. The script was stolen from me. Zegler allegedly planned to reveal her unused rewrites. Would have accused Gadot of vetoing her feminist Snow White take. Disney knew and did nothing. The most damning claim, execs allegedly enabled Gadot's behavior. Promised Zegler creative control, then backed out when Gadot objected. But here's where it gets really messy. Days before Zegler's tell-all, Gadot's legal team reportedly obtained emails proving Disney had initially supported Zegler's vision. This wasn't just about silencing criticism, it was about preventing a lawsuit that could have exposed Disney's internal chaos. Meanwhile, Gadot wasn't just playing defense. While Zegler's career imploded, Gadot was spotted at Warner Brothers headquarters, fueling rumors she's negotiating a DC Universe return as Wonder Woman. Industry scoops suggest she's leveraging her Snow White, Grace Under Fire to demand final script approval on future projects, veto power over co-stars, a producer credit with profit participation. Translation: after the Zegler disaster, Gadot's ensuring she'll never be forced into another toxic pairing. But the most shocking revelation? A leaked Disney memo titled Postmortem, Snow White Lessons, reveals execs knew this would blow up months before release. Key excerpts. Market testing shows 68% negative reaction to Zegler's PR approach. Recommend distancing Gadot from press tour. Contingency plan needed if lead actresses refuse joint promotion. They saw the train coming, and instead of stopping it, they crossed their fingers and hoped for magic. Now the dust is settling, but the damage is permanent. Zegler's reputation is in tatters. Gadot's emerged stronger. And Disney, they're left with a burning question. Was this just a bad movie, or the beginning of the end for live-action remakes? Because if Snow White proved anything, it's that today's audiences don't want revisionist fairy tales. They want stars they actually root for. And right now, Hollywood only has one of those left standing. The Snow White disaster didn't just end careers, it rewrote the rules of Hollywood. And 1 year later, the fallout is more shocking than anyone predicted. Rachel Zegler's last-ditch reinvention. Gone are the Disney princess dreams. Zegler's team has reportedly pushed her toward Broadway, a safe space where her vocal talent outweighs her toxic reputation. But insiders say even that's a hard sell. Producers love her voice, but no one wants the drama. She's being asked to sign no social media clauses in contracts now. Her last resort, a tell-all memoir tentatively titled Not So Snow White, but publishers are wary. Without concrete proof of her claims against Gadot, it risks looking like sour grapes. Gal Gadot's quiet domination. While Zegler fades, Gadot's power play reached new heights. She quietly inked a first-look deal with Netflix, where she'll produce and star in female-led action films. The unspoken message: Disney couldn't control me, now I control my own stories. But the real twist: Gadot never wanted Zegler fired. Leaked emails reveal her legal team's endgame was always keep Rachel quiet, not ruin her. The enemy was Disney's mismanagement. The Disney executive purred. 3 words no one saw coming. Creative director fired. The head of Disney's live-action division was abruptly dismissed after an internal audit revealed he overruled test audience warnings about Zegler's casting, approved her controversial interviews against PR advice, allegedly told staff woke backlash is free marketing. His replacement, a veteran from Pixar, signaling a return to storytelling over messaging. The franchise that vanished. Snow White's failure had a domino effect. Live-action Moana postponed indefinitely. Hercules remake completely recast after Zegler comparisons. A leaked memo confirms no more legacy sequels without unanimous cast chemistry. But the most telling detail: Disney Plus quietly buried Snow White in its library. No homepage promotion, no recommended placement. The algorithm seems trained to forget it exists. The lesson Hollywood learned: this wasn't just about 2 clashing stars. It exposed a broken system where studios cast for viral moments over cohesion. Social media activism replaced on-set professionalism, and lawyers now have more power than directors. As one veteran producer put it, we used to worry about movies bombing. Now we fear the stars more than the box office. The credits have rolled. The lawsuits are settled. But in Hollywood's endless remake culture, one question lingers. Who's the fairest of them all now? Certainly not the studio that started this war.